Evening, everyone, and welcome back to night 2 of the warrant review. We're going to begin tonight by returning to some of last night's items, and up first is the Essex Tech article.
Mr. Chairman, did you want me to address the two outstanding questions from last night?
Yes, thank you. Before we move on to Essex Tech, that would be great.
Yes. And I'm skipping introductions tonight. So one of the questions was from Wally related to easements. And you asked about 20 Locust Street, the electric station on Locust Street. So yes, 20 Locust and 11 Locust, we received those we took those easements September 2022. So those are all set. And Mr. Landers, you asked about eminent domain related to also easements. And if you need to get deeper, I'll pass over to here. But so there's two things to that. One, we wouldn't that article wouldn't cover eminent domain, and we wouldn't use it. We wouldn't use that for eminent domain takings anyway. These would just be the givings. So I think that was the wrap up from last night.
Yeah. And with that, we can return to Article 5, Essex Tech. I know we all had an opportunity to do kind of one round of questions or comments last night. Did anyone have anything on the committee that they'd like to add about the assessment for the Essex Tech? Any questions or comments from the audience? Go ahead, Mark. And just as a reminder to citizens in the audience, if you have a question or comment, please make sure you go to the microphone, give your name and address, and you have 3 minutes.
3 minutes. You're a timekeeper. The only question after last night, you debated or reviewed the Essex Tech budget and the existence of Essex Tech. That Essex Tech has been an issue for 10, 12 years. And the thing is that the state, in their wisdom, has changed the acceptance and the enrollment methods of selecting students. However, I have been told, and I believe this true, is that there's still a lot of students from Danvers that want to go to a technical organization or a school. And I think we should be very lucky to have Essex Tech in our community. Now, I know that it's non-taxable and we're losing money on some things, but that school provides the technical and agricultural education that we as a town have always been in a position to accept and offer it to our students. So the thing that over the last 3 years, there's been a lot of resistance about we have too many students going to Essex Tech. Well, what we should do is, this is an education process, and it consists of Danvers school system, the Essex Tech school system, and the private institutions that we have in our community. And we should be lucky about that. But the thing is that I don't understand is that our population in the Danvers school system is going down, and Essex Tech is winding down as well right now. Who's in charge of the education of this town? The thing is, it's a combination. And the thing is that we should not impede the acceptance to Essex Tech, because that's where the future is for many of our students. And the thing is, I've discussed situations at Danvers High School which they don't offer that particular aspect of our education, because it's totally unacceptable to deny that kind of an education to our students. If they want to go, we should be able to let them go. The thing is, we have to pay for it one way or another. We're paying it through the school system currently to our the committee, school committee, controlled budget. We have another $5-some million that is going to Essex Tech, but there's also a contribution from the town that's going towards our education system.
Hi.
And if you look at the total value of our education system that the residents are paying for is over $85 million combined. And we should be looking at that instead of individual little pieces. So if we have a movement of students to Essex Tech, we should reduce the budget in the school department and vice versa. So that's what I have to say. And I just, after discussions of last night, I think it needs to be revisited. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? Bill?
Bill Bradstreet, Town Meeting Member, Precinct 1. Unfortunately, I've heard several times in the past as a formula how they figure out how much is going to be paid for the students. And I recall listening and hearing, we don't know what the formula is. They can't explain it to us. Would it be possible, not that I'm that kind of a person, but would it be possible for us to have the formula explained so that we can see how they're arriving at the figures that they use?
Well, I don't think we can get it tonight, but maybe.
Just tell me you're working on it, but
I can tell you that, and I think the representative from the school committee who's here would also probably agree with me and say that if the superintendent of the Essex Tech was here, she couldn't answer the question either, and not because it's also not her job, because it's a formula that's created by the state. So it would be great if we could get someone from the state here to articulate that. I don't know that that's going to happen, but maybe we can ask our state delegation if they could impose on the powers that be. And that would actually be a very interesting presentation to see how it is that that formula gets implemented and affects communities like Danvers or any of the other sending communities. So thanks, Bill.
I thought it was mythical that it couldn't be explained on my terms, but for the people who would understand those things.
It can be explained, and the easiest way to understand it is that it's a combination, in essence, of really the budget. The budget is critical to that, but the budget itself does not dictate what that amount is. It also has to do with factors in regards to the wealth of your community. And it also has to do, to a limited extent, with the number of kids that go there. And so when you combine those three things in a little bit more complex fashion, you end up getting the number that is in essence, a base per community. And then whatever that number, once that number is determined, and it's different for every one of the 17 sending communities. It can be as high as, I think it's Rockport, one of the communities has one that's in essence over $30,000 a student. So you take that, you multiply it by the number of students that are enrolled, and you get the number. Now, the thing that I think is the most disheartening, if you want to put it that way, this year for a community like Danvers is that the budget itself at the Voc Tech increased by a little bit over 4%. That 4% increase was with a reduction of about 3 or 4 students. So we actually had fewer students there this year than we've had in the past. And yet because of the formula and the way it works, our assessment increased by over 12%. And that, I think, is patently unfair to a community. Nothing to do with whether it is a good education is being provided, or whether or not there are kids who want to go there, or whether or not kids succeed. When you have fewer students in a budget that is only a 4% increase, and you're being charged 12% more, that is over time going to be untenable for us from a budgetary standpoint. And again, it has really nothing to do with where the kids go or anything else. It's just the formula needs to be adjusted and needs to be dealt with, and that's a state issue.
Okay. I hear what you're saying. Again, in my mind, I've tried to explain it in the past, but it wasn't definitive enough for me and I think some other people to understand what and how. That's all I'm asking, is if we could get somebody to come and, maybe not the superintendent, but someone who has the knowledge, or someone can ask someone who would be able to come and answer a question, or bring a packet explaining all of that to us, so we'd have something to refer to.
Sure.
I mean, the town is great to give us these packets to refer to. I think of that information, I think would be beneficial to the people who have a question about enrollment, costs.
Well,
that sort of
those are
thing.
different issues.
Well,
What's going on in regards to enrollment, what's going on in terms of their budget, those are very easy, and they're no different than what we deal with in the Danvers Public Schools, or what any other school system or any other budget deals with. That's not what this is about. The assessment is more confusing because, most importantly, it takes into these wealth factors of what the state believes your community can pay. So that's why when we were talking about it last night, and we talked about Salem, although Salem has the fourth highest enrollment of the communities that, in terms of the number of kids that are sent, their actual assessment is probably, I think, half of ours, or more, quite frankly, less than half of ours, even though they have probably about 2/3 of the number of students there that we have. And that's because Salem's number in regards to that assessment is very, very low. Peabody pays not substantially lower, but lower. Beverly pays slightly lower. So those are determinant not based on the budget, right? Everybody would pay the same per student, right, if it was just simply based on the budget. It's that wealth factor that they place into it, and that's where the confusion lies in regards to it. But, it's not hard to think about it. Marblehead pays more than we do. Swampscott pays more than we do. Hamilton Wenham pays more than we do. Beverly, Salem, Peabody, Gloucester pay less than us. And that's, you want to really look at it, that's how it works.
I hear what you're saying. I just would like to see something in writing that explains that. So it's a reference material,
Sure.
just as long as you're working on it. That's all I ask.
Yeah, I'm not going to work on it, but go ahead, you can.
Anything else? Go ahead.
I'm Micah Velasquez from Precinct 7, and I would just like a quick refresh from last night as to what the ramifications would be if the committee here decided to vote no action on this particular article.
Sure. Mike, do you want to articulate that?
Well, as is always the case, if this particular committee votes no action, all that acts is the motion on the town meeting floor. Probably 4 or 5 years ago, we recommended that we withhold the increase. There was a substantial increase in that particular year, and the town meeting agreed with that, and that was placed into, we have a portion of the budget that is reserved for the Finance Committee. I think we put that into our Finance Committee reserve amount. And in essence, after some back and forth, Desi came back and said, give them the money. And that was, so, but from a practical standpoint, in order for any change to be, so if town meeting was to vote down and vote no action on this, you would need 1/3 of the sending communities to do that as well. And if more than 1/3 of the sending communities voted no action in regards to that assessment amount, then it would go back and they would have to change the budget. However, as we were saying, that is not really the only factor that pushes this. So we would see some reduction in that regard in respect to the assessments, but it would not be a substantial, I don't believe it would be a substantial reduction to the extent that it would make a lot of sense to do. From a truly practical standpoint, there is no movement on any of the other communities to go. So we would simply be doing what amounted to a symbolic vote to say, and I think, again, more importantly with it, we may have a problem with the 12.5% increase. And I think we have a right to be upset about the 12.5% increase, again, especially with the lower enrollment. But the budget that's there, and again, I say this, despite the fact that I voted against the budget for a number of different reasons, it is not a budget that is out of whack with what other school departments have asked for, or also considering the fact that they, like most school districts, signed a new contract with their teachers, with our teachers, a year and a half ago, and we're in the midst of that contract, and that results in increases. And unfortunately, those contracts were negotiated in a much better financial time 2 years ago than we're in right now. So,
All right, thank you very much.
welcome.
Good question, Micah, thank you.
I would just say though, I don't think we should dismiss symbolism. It reflects towards the school, but it also reflects to the State House. If we were to reject a budget because a 12.5% increase when our enrollment's flat and the budget goes up 4.5%, I think that's a pretty decent signal to our state legislators and whatever government employees are playing with their spreadsheets, that they need to be accountable and explain what's going on. So how do you plan a budget when we're like 8%? So we're talking about 12.5%, probably should have been 4%. So that's 8% of $5 million. That's $400,000. Like, that's a big
Yeah.
hole that's a big hole for us to plug.
I would just say this, that I don't think there was a single district that supported the DESI changes in regards to the way the enrollment worked. And there's we could sit here for 2 hours and discuss the way that the enrollment changes occurred and the process that happened with that. But the point being is that there wasn't none of the districts, this was not something that any district supported. And it went on blind ears. There was actually a move at the very end of it to pass legislation that would have at least put this back into study, to put the enrollment situation in the application process back into study via legislation, and that was basically killed. So I don't disagree with you, except I don't think the state's going to, Danvers doing it isn't going to do anything for it. I mean, again, it makes us feel better from a symbolic standpoint, great.
With all due
but-
respect, the town motto of Danvers is "The King Unwilling."
Yeah, it should have been "The King Didn't Care," but that will,
So I think I know how I'm going to vote.
Having a little difficulty hearing.
Oh, sorry. That's it.
Anything else? Is there a motion?
Yeah, move the article.
Is there a second?
Yes.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor of Article 5, the Essex Tech Assessment, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Article
Abstain.
Article passes, 1 no and 1 abstention.
Good.
And now we'll return to the other exciting conversation from last night, Article 11, vacant buildings.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So we regrouped as a team today, and I think basically what the short version is thank you. Thank you to all the committee members for your thoughtful feedback on that. It's truly appreciated. We respectfully request that we go with, I think it was yours or Orlander's suggestion to refer back to the administration. We want to do some more work. They were thoughtful feedback, so we want to make sure we understand what the impact of those changes are and not make them hastily. And you will see it again at probably special town meeting.
Great. With that, is there a motion?
I move that we refer this article back to the town manager for further review to be brought back to the town meeting within 1 year.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Article passes to, back to the town manager.
All right,
Good luck with that.
thank you.
Yeah, that's good.
With that, I think we're going to move into special town meeting.
Special town meeting. Okay, as you know, every year Article 1 at special town meeting is unpaid bills from the year before. In your packets, you will see, I'll run through them. The first one is $1 million from free cash to, sorry, skipped.
It's a big unpaid bill.
That, I was going to say $1 million. Sorry, these are easy, because I was looking for them there. $36 From management office supplies to WB Mason, $950 from Public Works Traffic Control to the town of Saugus.
Any comments or questions from the committee members? Questions or comments on Article 1 of the special town meeting from the audience? Hearing none, is there a motion?
Move the article.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Article passes. Article 2 of the special town meeting.
Right, now you're ready for me. Budget transfers. So the first one is $1 million from free cash to Danvers Public Schools. This is related to special education costs. We talked about this previously. It's related to some one-time costs that were not expected and is preparing us to be in a bit more stable position in years going forward. To be clear, I want to make sure this committee won't vote on it, but you will see also the school committee recently took a vote related to the Special Education Stabilization Fund, which will be in front of the select board on May 7th. But in front of you today is $1 million from free cash to Danvers Public Schools. The next two, $700,000 from free cash and $250,000 from DPW personnel, are both related to the snow and ice budget, which we talked about at length at different select board meetings. The next one is $340,000 from free cash to fire personnel. This is related to overtime and the fire budget. When I started, I want to say they were down essentially a whole group. And they are currently fully staffed, and so we're expecting to see decreases in overtime. $90,000 from police personnel to police capital outlay. They are going to use this to buy some new body armor, the vest. $20,000 from department heads personnel to HR personnel. That's related to the temporary staffing that we talked about in the budget as well. There's $15,000 from accounting personnel and $15,000 from debt interest that are going to accounting operating. They've been down personnel, and we had to bring on a consultant to meet some of our reporting deadlines. $50,000 from sewer retained earnings to sewer operating for emergency repairs at Endicott Street Pump Station. And then the one that was added to your list, I think we gave it to you last night,
Yep.
was from department heads personnel to the legal budget. As we talked about during budget, we're seeing increased legal fees this year. We had Town Manager Act, Town Meeting Act, the trash strike, and new town council. So that's what that's for.
Great. Arthur?
I don't have any questions.
Paul?
All set. All set.
Mike?
So what is the total that we're at now from our legal budget for this year? Because this will be the second additional amount.
They'll just a little under 225.
Thank you.
Mary?
All set.
So the $1 million, the free cash to the so that's a one-time expense. But so does that basically mean that last year we went over budget in the school department, and
I'm going to defer to Dan, our superintendent is here. Dan Bauer, yep. Yes, please, through the chairman.
Yep. These represent some unanticipated residential placements that were outside of the budget when we planned the budget. So there were a few that will be accounted for next year. There were a couple residentials, so that's to rectify that.
okay. That's it for that one. Thanks, Dan. And so like the free cash to the fire personnel, that sounds like we used more overtime than we budgeted. Then the next one, it sounds like we spent less money on overtime in police, and we're moving it to capital outlay instead of doing a warrant article for
overtime, though.
the capital.
Yes, that's taking advantage of some surpluses we have in police personnel, and the chief can talk a little bit about the actual product. But sometimes, we've done this before with police, if there's a surplus and we have a capital need
Yeah.
that we know we're not going to be able to afford in the future
Yeah,
years, let's buy it now.
It's more of a nerdy accounting question, like.
Yep.
So the alternative would be that there would be a police personnel transfer back to free cash here, and then there'd be a warrant article for the same equipment somewhere else in the
For
budget.
the following year, yeah, exactly.
okay,
So this
that's-
allows them to get to it now.
That's it for me.
Wally?
Have we adjusted the plowing budget a bit for next year?
It was on average, right?
It is on average, but we did adjust it, and we did go up based on what our averages
what we came up our averages, what would have been for 2020, counting fiscal year 2027. We actually did also increase that another 10% on top of that.
Thank you.
Questions from the audience? Mr. Bradstreet?
When the town refers to, I think everybody knows who I am. When you use an average, what is the average? 1 year, 2 years, 3, 4, 5? How many years? How do you determine an average? What number of years?
5 years.
So it's 5 years. And is the average getting larger over those because of the way the world is changing?
But we're just talking specifically for snow and ice.
Yes.
There's peaks and valleys in it, really. Going back 10+ years, you can see that probably every 4 to 5 years, you'll see a steep rise in what we've seen for snow events, and then it drops down, then it comes back up. That's just what we've seen. Like, that's what I've been trending, going back on what our plot rates are. Also, it also depends even if we have more snow or less snow, the methods where we have to do our plowing and what we have to pay our plow operators has gone up as well. So that's also an increased cost that we have to account for in the budget when we do it.
We don't have enough of our own. We have to hire an outside businesses to do some of the plowing.
When we have historical snow events like we did this year, we definitely have to go out and hire additional contractors to help us keep up with the snow rule.
I know you don't have a crystal ball, but can you see what the future's going to be?
Not without the crystal ball.
Okay, okay.
Mark, did you have a question?
My question is more in relation to the $1 million of free cash that's being allocated to the school department again. Last year, we went through a very hard budget, and the school department itself increased the budget from the previous year by 6.4%, I believe. And that was supposed to cover the special education efforts that were in place or that were going to be put in place. And now all of a sudden we are allocating free cash, which is savings from other groups, and we're allocating it to the special education, again, to the schools. The last year's budget, last year's warrant articles also contained a special education fund that was established at that time. Why isn't that being used this time? The funding for the schools comes directly from the taxpayers. It's not through, funding from the state or from meals tax or anything like that, but it is definitely identified as the real estate opportunity for the schools to use our funding. So I do not accept the definition that has been presented that it's special education. What other means has the school department done for last year to accommodate that? And I don't see that happening at all. So I would definitely object to this $1 million free cash transfer, because that's not what free cash is supposed to be used for. So this year's budget is going up by, is it 4%? Roughly 4%. And are we going to have another surprise next year? Maybe $2 million at that time, because we do an investment in our school department, and I agree with that. But the thing is, we've got to be realistic and identify that these sources of funds are not free cash. their tax revenue. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, go ahead.
I'm Amy Velasquez, Town Meeting Member, Precinct 7. Just speaking to the investment in our school and what our district has really done over the past several years, I think it's important to point out all of the advancements that Dan and his team have really put in place to be able to meet their obligations in serving our students to ensure that they are being served in their least restrictive environment, which is the law. That is required. And there are times when the needs of children supersede what we're able to provide in our schools. And they can be unexpected. Talking about a residential placement, you can't plan for that. We are required to meet the needs of students that move to our community, students that grow from our community from birth. We must provide for those needs. And so, yes, it's an obligation that goes to all of us, but the team has really been putting together a competitive system that historically hasn't been in place, which has allowed for us to be better positioned in the future to meet the diverse needs of our learners. So I want to give kudos to the team. This is a hard budget, year in general, but we must provide for our students, all of our students, in their least restrictive environment, whether that supports in an advanced placement class, whether that's in a residential out-of-district placement, whether those are additional instructional assistance. Those needs must be met, and that's our obligation as a community. From a financial standpoint, but also from a moral standpoint, from a place where we are nurturing our town. So I want to be sure that that stands on the record because it's an investment for all of us toward the future. So, thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Do you have something additional to add, Mark?
Oh, my God.
I just would like to explain that it is not an objection to the education system. The objection is to the use of the funds that were voted for special education, and there is a special fund that was established last year. Why aren't we using that money to compensate for the $1 million overrun that we have experienced? And the thing is, I don't hear an answer on that. So that's my question is, why are we using free cash to compensate for
Mark,
something?
one of the answers is there's less than $1 million in that fund right now.
So
So
partial payment could be
if
made
you
out
if
of
you were
it.
listening earlier, the $1 million budget override was due to unexpected residential placements. So while we could drain the special education stabilization fund to zero and not take it from free cash, we would still need money from free cash, and then we would need to refund the special education stabilization fund. So we're really sitting here arguing about what pile of beans we take the money from.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
And all the pile of beans are the taxpayers' money.
The-
So it doesn't matter.
The problem is that we have set up these special funds and we put this away. It's a savings account, basically. But the thing is, we never use it because I think we have too much free cash floating around and we don't know what to do with it.
Just to clarify, we are making a movement from the stabilization fund that we discussed.
Yep.
It won't come before FinCom.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anything else? Is there a motion on Article 2?
Move the article as written.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Article passes unanimously. Thank you.
Special town meeting, Article number 3, State Public Works Grant. This is the Chapter 90 funds that we do every year. $1,248,174.
Wally?
No. So we've listened to here. Most of the Chapter 90 funds were used for highway-related improvements. What will the rest of it go to?
Just speak up a little bit while I'm.
What will the rest of it go to?
Oh, it all goes to roadway improvements,
So most is there just
sidewalks, curb.
sidewalks,
ramps,
curbs, trees?
Trees, police details, it's all gets funded through the Chapter 90 when we do public roadways.
Okay.
Ted?
No questions.
Mary?
All set.
Michael Arlanders?
Thank you.
Eric?
No.
Paul?
No questions.
All set.
Great. Anything from the audience? Is there a motion?
Move the article.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you. Returning to the annual town meeting. Article 8, the tech plan.
Okay. Article 8, technology plan, again, way that we fund capital related to technology each year. This year, we're asking for $519,500 to be funded from free cash. The projects are listed in your warrant. And Colby is here to answer any questions about them.
Arthur?
I'm all set.
Paul?
No questions.
Eric?
Nope.
Mike?
Nope.
Mary Beth?
All set.
Ted?
My question isn't directly related to this, but since the school folks have graciously graced us with their presence, and a constituent asked, if we're dropping the middle school Chromebook plan, will the insurance also be dropped from that? Basically, the question is, if my kids aren't taking the Chromebooks home anymore, do I need to pay, will I still be required to pay insurance?
Good evening, Jim Sullivan, Director of Technology for the School Department. So the cut was actually the lease payments towards the Chromebooks. We do still have the Chromebooks, so right now the process is still in place. The insurance policy has been the most affordable way to offset the damage as opposed to paying full price for damages. But we have been looking at what alternatives could be, whether it's, full outright, repairs, or whether there's another way to fund the repairs of those devices.
But the insurance would still be passed through as a fee to pay. The present budget for next year still contemplates passing through a fee to the parents for Chromebook insurance.
It is, yes.
That's all.
Wally?
Thanks, I'm good, thank you.
Okay. Anything from the audience on Article 8? Hearing nothing, is there a motion?
Move the article. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Article passes unanimously. Thank you.
Article 9, door access security. This is a transfer of $100,000 from free cash to upgrade door access security in the Danvers Public Schools.
Wally?
Good.
Ted?
I'm good.
Mary?
All set.
Mike?
Nope, I'm good.
Eric?
I actually do have a question. I'm interested in the, what will we be replacing and kind of the condition of all of the apparatus? Because is it the fobs and the IDs, or are you going to do strike pads or things like upgrades like that?
Sure, Colby Cousins, IT department. Sure, the upgrades are mostly around the panels that are in the walls. So wiring goes back to intelligent panels that act as controllers, and those are aging, and we need to upgrade those.
Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Paul?
Is that a problem with all buildings?
The biggest problem we have is in the high school and the middle school right now. That's where the panels are the oldest, where they need to be upgraded.
So we've replaced or taken care of any problems at the elementary school prior, is it prior to the construction of these two projects, or is that just?
Yeah, the panels in those buildings were part of the construction projects. So I don't even know how many years ago that is now, but it's beyond our refresh schedule. It's definitely time to replace them.
Thank you.
Arthur?
I'm good.
Any questions from the audience? Bill?
the panels are aging. What is their life existency before they have to be? And are they all purchased at the same time so that they all are going to be replaced at the same time? Or are they spaced out so that it's a little less, not one large fee? I don't know if that's, I mean, I certainly wouldn't buy something or a lot of things knowing they're all going to die on me next year. I would space out my purchases so I could adjust my budget.
Thank you. Yeah, they are spaced out a little bit. So all of the panels in the high school are the same vintage, but the buildings are staggered a bit. And a standard refresh cycle on any of our IT hardware is about 5 years.
Great. Thank you. Anything else from the audience? Is there a motion?
Move the article.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on Article 9. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Article passes unanimously. Article
Thank you.
10.
Thanks, Colby.
Article 10, school transportation vehicles. This request is for $150,000 from free cash to fund the purchase of a 77-passenger school bus. And I think that the superintendent went into detail kind of about the transportation budget during budget, but if there are questions?
Yep, I think we pretty much covered this the last time. Anything from the committee? Any questions from the audience? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Article 10 passes unanimously. Article 15.
Okay, I'm going to hand this over to Steve, but I do want to start by making sure the public and the committee and folks watching at home think about and read the capital planning section of the budget book. I think it's a piece that people look over often, but your new team sitting in front of you here takes it very seriously. Ronnie's been working on it for a while, Stephen, and we are kind of trying to take that capital plan to the next level, knowing the budget pressures ahead of us, knowing our staffing pressures. We need to be really thoughtful to not bob and weave every time another project kind of comes at us from a different direction. So take a look at the capital plan, see what's on that, kind of refresh your memory, and what the goal here, right, is to see things moving up and moving through the capital plan. So I think I just want to take that moment to say that's in your budget book. Take a look at it. It'll help you see kind of the plan, the roadmap for the future.
Great, thank you. Steve?
Yep. Good evening,
And welcome.
everyone, Mr. Chair. Thank you. Steve King, Director of Public Works. Article 15 is an appropriation request for $317,000 for pavement management and sidewalk improvements. This basically includes any work that the Public Works performs on streets or anything outside the public right of way. So anything within our school parking lots, any of our town municipal lots or buildings, school buildings, we use this money for, this previous appropriation for. We also help establish our self-evaluation transition plan. That's our requirements to make sure we're meeting our ADA accessibility throughout the entire town, whether it's a public right of way or a private way, or private municipal lot. We're also looking at doing a few track zone projects. Track zoning is not reimbursable under the Chapter 90 program. And then we're also looking at basically, we do an evaluation of all of our streets every 3 years through one of our consultants. We have a small portion of this funds would go toward paying that consultant to ride all of our streets, perform an assessment, and give us a grade score of our roadways every 3 years, and then that helps us build a capital plan for our paving projects.
All right. Wally?
I'm good.
Ted?
I'm good.
Mary Beth?
All set.
Mike?
How would, sometimes when you ride across the road, you wonder like, why is that road being done? How do you, aside from that, address, there's an unknown, and you might go in, I'm trying to think, the road that I'm thinking of is perpendicular to Sylvan Street, over by,
Adams?
yes. It's a hot mess. It was worked on recently, and my wife always asks, why is the street like that? It was just worked on, and it was worked on again, and I don't really have an answer. And so I am interested in how, is that going to wait for the 3-year cycle, or are you generally aware of, ongoing issues, and some streets are just problematic, et cetera, et cetera?
So we also tie in our water capital plan our stormwater infrastructure and our sewer infrastructure along with our roadway paving.
That makes sense.
So if we know we have a specific project coming in the next year or so, we would then hold off on potentially doing that street until we do the construction excavation of that project, then repave the road. Which is specific case for Adams Street. We have a project that's coming down the line, hopefully for this fall, and then that would get paved next year.
All right, thank you.
Paul?
What's the longevity of a completely repaved section? In other words, not spot, or, I think you've used a couple of other processes over the last year or two that are a little different than maybe just scraping it all out and putting a whole new section of paving in. And I was wondering, just, what is the life, I know traffic has something to do with it, but let's say 62 as an example here. Pretty heavily traveled. I know it's in tough shape in sections now because of the construction projects that have gone on, but there's a pretty good section all the way up as you leave the Summer Street area and go towards the shopping malls up that way. That's in pretty good shape, and that was recently done too, maybe by one of the different methods, just a few years ago. But in general, what are you getting out of a paving project?
So majority of our paving projects, we do what we call a milled surface and then a repay overlay, which typically we mill out 1.5 to 2 inches of the existing roadway surface and then resurface with new hot mix asphalt. That typically will see an average of 10-year lifespan before we start seeing some cracking. That then allows us to start going into other treatments that are less intrusive, a whole another paving project. So that's when we start getting into our crack sealing. So crack sealing gives you another 5 to 6 years of preservation within the street if you start seeing any cracking because of our typical freeze-thaw cycles that happens on our roadways. We could also then go into full depth reclamation, which is basically reconstructing the entire road. We're going down to the sub-base gravel, rebuilding with binder, and then another top layer. That it can extend the life to 15 to 20 years, depending on the amount of traffic that's usually on the roadway. There's other less intrusive products that we've used. We've done cold-in-place recycling, mixed-based recycling the existing asphalt, remixing it with new aggregate in emulsion, and then relaying that surface. We did that project on Dayton Street, which seemed to work well. It's a kind of a county road, we call it. Doesn't have a lot of traffic, but it's got a big surface area. So that worked out, and that seems to be holding up pretty fine for the past. I think we've done that 7 years ago at this point.
And what's the project now over on Wenham Street? I just unfortunately went over the other day and, whoops.
Trying to live over there.
Winter Street's currently, that's a water main replacement project right now.
Okay, thank you.
Now, as a real-world example of that, once you're done, because obviously big portions of that have been dug, and as, by the way, tonight are still there so that you're driving on gravel when you go down the street. I don't know if this would have happened if we had the old town manager, by the way, in his locations. But, how long, once we get that done before July 4th, as you promised me the last time, and I'm holding it, how long will that roadway, do you think, last for us before we need to do more extensive repairs?
Oh, so that's in our plan to do a full curb to
Yeah.
curb pavement next summer, late fall. So we'll do a temporary pavement mix like we did on the Locust Street, the last section that we just did.
Yeah.
Get us through our winter until we come back in the early
Oh, so I get to
summer.
do this next spring, too. Great. Just remind the people that we can't get out of our street if they block Cedar Hill Drive and down there. That's all I'm asking. Just tell me you're working on it.
He's the only one who's ever had problems with paving in the town.
No, it's the first time I've ever had problems with paving in town, and I don't like it.
Well, he should
Welcome to the party.
feel lucky.
Anything from the audience?
You didn't even ask me if I had any questions.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I don't have any questions.
I didn't. I knew you didn't. I could feel it. Mark?
I think I will give you an example of the question that Paul had. Our neighborhood, which is Glendale and Brentwood, was done in 1997. They have been able to maintain the cracks and their ceiling and all that, and that's worked out well over the years. But recently, it's potholes showing up, and the DPW has done an excellent job keeping track of that. And the thing is, 1997 to 2026 is 30 years, guys. So that road needs to be redone. You have done the sidewalks because we old timers don't want to slip and fall on the sidewalks with the roots. So the one question that I have is that we have all these programs in place, but is there supposedly is a street maintenance program that identifies the life expectancy, and you inspect that on an annual basis, and which ones are come up for renewal, basically, or they get delayed for another reason. So is there a program, street maintenance program, that you maintain? Well, you don't, but right now you will. And one thing, if you can speak into the mic, you'll be much better heard than before. You're very quiet. So is there a maintenance program, and is that what's driving some of this efforts?
Yeah, so we do have a maintenance program. We do work with, again, one of our consultants on a certain software-based, computer-based program that helps us perform pavement condition index scores on our roadways. That does change from year to year, so we can only really look, we try and, the longest we can go is maybe 3 years before something changes. So that's why we try and ride our streets every 3 years. Because things do move and shift over the course of time. So we certainly don't ride the streets with the program that they've used with us historically, annually, but then we do ride the streets ourselves to see, is that score still a valid score? Is there further work we need to do? Did this road take more heavy an impact on the snow and ice removal from the previous year? So there's a lot of other factors get played into it before we make a decision.
How do the neighbors and residents get some attention from you?
You can answer the question. As Mark is returning to his seat.
I'm not going anywhere.
I mean, typically, it'll either go through the DPW email, just contact Public Works, and if there is an issue, we'll come out and take a look at it, and we'll review this, and see what it is in our program.
Well, you've done that very well on the sidewalks, and we appreciate that. And this is just a neighborhood. It's not a main thoroughfare like Route 62, which they botched last 2 years ago on the end down by 95, by the animal hospital.
Bill, you have something? Bill?
Right past the animal hospital. Take a look.
How many miles of street does the town maintain?
We maintain roughly over 125 miles of street.
Okay. And there's a list of the streets, all of these 125 streets on a list.
Miles?
All right, of these miles of street, there's a list of them.
Yep.
I thought I heard the other day that if you have a schedule and you tell the neighborhood that we're going to be doing this street on whatever the time period is, and someone finds that out and say, that street's so-so, mine's terrible. Are you able to change that schedule? I thought I heard that you could, if you got enough complaints about the order that you're doing them.
If we reviewed a street and thought there was a real need to make immediate repairs to it, we would perform some type of action to make sure that it was safe for people to travel. So, I mean, if we had a set program, if we already had things put in through the Chapter 90 program, we have to provide them a list of the streets we're gonna do before we get our reimbursement. So if we make a change, it comes too late, sometimes we'll use some of the funding from our pavement management article to do some type of temporary treatment until we can get to the next year, and put that roadway on a further maintenance schedule.
I know how some streets are in tough shape. I live on a short street, and several years ago, it was repaved. There were a lot worse streets in town that should have been done before mine. I was just a little disappointed that they would spend the time and money to do my street over as opposed to some of the others that needed the attention before mine. That's the opposite argument, but how do you,
Shocking.
I think, again, if we get to tie everything together as far as all of our projects, not just road paving, if there are certain streets that potentially we're gonna go and do a water main project or a sewer main replacement or pump station, if we're gonna do excavation on that street that way, that may push that street off for another couple years before we actually pave it.
I mean, I remember Bradstreet Avenue, when that was paved, all of the pipe work, whatever had to be done, was done prior to it being paved. A little foresight, the crystal ball, so to speak, to see what might be coming down the line. I just, again, I was just amazed that they repaved my street and not some of those more deserving of the
I'm
attention.
sure, Bill, that they knew you'd be coming if they didn't.
They're just working on it.
As long as they're working on it, thank you.
Thank you. Anything else from the audience? Is there a motion?
Move the warrant, the article.
Second.
There's a motion and a second on Article 15. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you. Article 16.
Article 16 is our roadway layout and acceptance of public ways program. This is what we historically been doing since 2001 on accepting streets that we've pretty much maintained as public roadways, but they're actually private roadways. Either they came into existence before the subdivision regulations or subdivision control bylaw, or the recent streets that have recently become constructed through developers, and we're then taking them over once they're complete. This article requests $33,000 for preparation of both street level plans and as-built plans. So a lot of the streets that are remaining, about 70 of them, we do not have good historical as-built records of. So combining the as-built records with the street layouts, we're able to identify, one, that there's no conflicts if we take the roads. So let's say if someone's house was actually put into the roadway by mistake when it originally was constructed, we can kind of see those things beforehand, so we can either get additional easements or potentially have to relocate something before we take the roadway over.
Arthur?
No questions.
Paul?
No questions.
Eric?
Can we explain again behind the mall?
Oh, God.
I will continue.
Every year.
Yes, but put me on record, right? It is troublesome, and I think the absence of progress is frustrating, and recognizing the limitations, and yet because it is within the town, it would be helpful. Oh, wow. It would be helpful if the town could use whatever limited power it has and resources to provide some assistance to a roadway that, here's the one I'm going to fall on. A whole lot more people driving on that roadway than are swimming in the lake, swimming in the rivers, okay? So I just want to be clear in terms of where residents are going and the amount of resources that we're able to expend on it. A little bit of balance. That is all.
I don't think you were here last year, but what I had said is that because we're involved with a very significant electric light project in that area, it would probably make some sense for our electric light division to take a look at those roadways and see if there would be an advantage to our electric light division to making sure those roadways are paved well.
Electric lights, we got big buses going by there, just saying. Yeah, that is all.
Mike?
Nope.
Mary?
No, all set.
Okay.
I'm all set. I'm good.
Okay. Historically, and I think you probably answered the question, but historically, we've actually accepted some streets each year.
Yes, so we put together kind of a bigger package this
Yep.
year, so it just actually went out to bid, we got prices for it. So for the next town meeting.
Okay.
You'll see a list of about seven streets.
Okay.
That will be on the list for acceptance.
It's always exciting to see the list, to see like, wow, I've been driving down that street all my life and, didn't know it wasn't an accepted road yet, so. Thank you. Anything from the audience? Is there a motion?
Move the article.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on Article 16. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Article passes. Article 17, building improvements.
Article 17, appropriation request for $652,000, town meeting, $627,000 funded from free cash, and $25,000 funded from the water use mitigation program, the Warrant. We have projects, I can either go through each one, or?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. $137,000 requested for elementary, middle school, and high schools. That's for tile replacement, carpet replacement, gym floor resurfacing and repairs, and classroom modifications. Endicott Park is for a bathroom renovation. DVD Institute Library, that's for the Rotary Pavilion. That's repairing the floor joists up to the roof. As you know, previously we had done work for the actual supports of the structure a couple years ago. And other building improvements include Central Fire and Engine 2 stations, 911 call notification system, HVAC replacement at the police station, emergency lighting upgrades at our schools, and then additional warrant article we have for building modifications with anything that comes up within municipal buildings as well, for $30,000.
Wally?
No, I'm good.
Ted?
This is the second phase of the pavilion? Is that right? What did we spend on it last time?
I think we were on 100,000 last time. I wasn't involved in the
Right.
project, but I want to say 100,000.
Okay. I don't have any other questions.
Question on the pavilion. So 150 this year to make more repairs. There's continued vandalism of the pavilion, not our fault. So my question is, when we make these repairs with the same materials and it gets vandalized again and needs to be repaired, should we be looking at different materials, more sustainable materials that are harder to destroy? I do believe potentially last week there was some vandalism that may have happened there as well, with some locals, or I don't even know if they were local. There were some youths out there doing some destruction. So I love the pavilion. It's beautiful, but should the materials be different? I'm not sure.
That's a great point. I haven't been aware of any vandalism, but I can look into it. But these are mostly structural sound type projects, not facial projects or facade projects. So
Yeah.
if it's a facade thing that's getting vandalized, that's something we can look at in more detail.
Okay. And so for the visual, like the railings and stuff, are we still, like the town, responsible for repairing that,
Yeah,
right?
correct.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Mike?
I mean, I guess my biggest problem with this is that I'm fairly certain that when that pavilion was put in, much like other projects, and it's a very nice spot and it gets excellent use, but my recollection is that we were told that, don't worry about this, it's never gonna cost the town anything. And in essence, it now is to the point where it costs us about, on average, maybe $75,000 a year. Some years 150, some years not much, but in your estimation, based on what you're seeing with this, is this something that we can just anticipate moving forward because of the nature and the location of that structure, that we're going to have fairly significant annual costs to maintain that structure?
I see one more phase of this project coming down the line, whether it's next year or the year after, which is getting into the roofing structure part of it. I think that will pretty much be the biggest expense coming down the line. Everything else should be your typical maintenance for repairs on just day-to-day wear and tear.
And, because I think it's probably now 15
closer to 30 years.
Is it
probably.
30 years? God. But, and have we done any other substantial, that you know of, reconstruction or anything else with that location in that 30-year period, or is this sort of the first time that we got hit?
This is the first, based since I've been here, the last project that we did with the foundation work was the biggest expense I know that we
Yeah.
paid towards the pavilion.
Okay. Thanks.
Eric?
Is the pavilion in the capital plan beyond this year?
Yeah.
It is. That last phase that you referenced? Okay. Thank you.
Paul?
Talked about the structural, the last one you just completed, I think, about a year ago or 2 years ago?
The foundation of it.
The foundation, yeah. No, I saw, I think there was some signage up when that was being repaired. Were we getting any help from other folks in the community on that? Was there, am I wrong in there? Is there something, one of the,
Rotary,
Donation for
did Rotary donate?
okay, yeah, but obviously, we're not getting a type of donation that could cover what we're really spending, correct?
Not that I know of right now. We're not in conversations with them about
Yeah,
the
okay.
donation.
No,
Yeah.
I just was curious, because I didn't realize this was such a problem, quite frankly, over the years. Mike and CR know a little bit more about it, but I wasn't aware of it, so I'm disappointed that it has become a problem, quite frankly, and it sounds like, but it's not just, if it's being vandalized, is it being constructually vandalized, or is it just, not just, but is it the graffiti type vandalism?
I would say, again, we can definitely look into the vandalism part of it, but for structurally sound-wise, that's what we're trying to make the repairs to, so work that we do perform on the pavilion is something that I don't think is gonna be vandalized.
Just wear and tear.
Just wear and tear. If
Age, yeah.
someone could break a railing post, but we're looking at more of the structural sound pieces of it.
Thank you.
Arthur?
I'm good.
Anything from the audience? Pick a Velasquez, or Micah, go ahead.
Micah Velasquez, Precinct 7. I just had a question about the last segment of building modifications. It says that the $30,000 would include unplanned repairs. Hypothetically, if, let's say, there were enough unplanned repairs throughout the year to max out that $30,000, where would the rest of that money come from?
Sure. Oh, so if it's unplanned repairs, we have to find it within the operating budget, if it goes beyond the $30,000.
That's that first warrant article that we discussed, those unexpected and unpaid bill, or those transfers that we dealt with, second article that we had, that's how it would be dealt with more than likely.
Right.
There's also the FinCom reserve, where we hold 125,000 in reserve in case, for things that pop up. We've transferred an amount out of that a couple months ago for legal expenses, so.
Yeah, that's all.
Amy, did you have something too? Go ahead.
My question was specific to the pavilion. I've brought this up in a couple other different venues, but in the planning that's going forward, is there anything either within our accessibility ADA planning? Has there been any, I know there's been a little bit of study around the pavilion and accessibility and what that looks like. Has there been anything recently, and is there anything in the works for the future?
I do believe the building is within the ADA accessible plan, and any repairs that we do, eventually we'll have to make sure that we meet the law for accessibility, so yes.
I just think we do the concerts and things like that, and I see people going and they have their rollators, and, some people are going and they can't necessarily access that space, so it's something that's always in our mind when we're planning events, so just wanted to throw that out there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else from the audience? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second on Article 17. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you. Article 18, ground improvements, page 16.
Page 16 in your warrant book, grounds improvements. Requesting $166,000 for our annual repairs to softball field, at the Rotary softball field, $50,000 at the Riverside softball field and basketball hoops, $41,000 for recreation sport field aeration and fertilization, $15,000 for natural resource area fence and gate repair and replacements, and then lastly, $10,000 for repairs and servicing, totaling $166,000. Any questions?
Arthur?
I'm good.
All set.
Eric?
Can you just explain what role we play in the rail trail maintenance and surfacing? I mean, there's a lot there, and so clearly, we're not trying to cover the question. How much of the rail trail are we trying to address here, or just in principle?
This would cover anything within that we have existing that we're using currently today. Any top dressing, maintenance, repairs, divots that we have to fix over from the winter time, that goes through that warrant article for $10,000. Materials.
Mike?
Yeah, I mean, the only comment I would have is I think this is probably the one of the lower numbers that we've had over the last 10 years with this. And I understand it based on the budget that we've got, but I hope we don't have to put that into and it becomes an annual this way, because this is I've always felt this is a really important budget item to be able to make sure that we keep those fields and those well-used facilities in better shape. So, I can certainly support it this year, but I'm hoping we're going to be able to soon get back into spending the amount of money.
Mary?
Agree with Mike on that. I think our fields are heavily used by a lot of teams in town, and we've always been known to have good fields. So I think we'd like to try to get back to or maintain that level of care. I know grounds does a great job, and we're stretched in staffing and funding. But like to try to see that budget in the next few years go a little bit higher for that. Thank you.
Ted?
I guess my question, I agree with what Mike said about this is a relatively small amount relative to what we've seen in the recent past. I know of a lot of the league, having been a participant in it as a director, as a board member in some of the leagues, and my better half running 2 of the youth leagues. I know from experience that there's private money looking to do some of these help some of these projects or do similar projects that would improve certain areas of town for everybody, not just the leagues themselves. Like I think DGS is a good example. They've tried to put in scoreboards and a number of other things that are used and basically handed over to the high school for precedent. They get to use the batting cage first. Everything DGS does, the high school benefits from. And it's been difficult. My understanding is it's been fairly difficult to get some of those projects underway. I think people in town meeting last night talked about sometimes being frustrated that their efforts get opposed by us. I know there's a lot of volunteer effort that goes into raising money for the leagues, and there's money looking to be put to work while people's kids are still actually playing in the league, and it's been a slow process. And it sounds like recently that you guys communicated to people that you don't want private support at all. Is that the case, or?
I'm happy to take that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and thank you, because we agree. I would say this administration, and certainly Dave, who's represented you all in the recreation world well for a long time, we all agree this number is smaller than we'd like it to be as well. Know that if that's how it was communicated, that was not the intent. The intent is goes back to the discussion about the capital plan, is that we need to thoroughly, and it actually relates exactly to what we were talking about with the pavilion. We need to, when the money comes in, we can't just chase which direction the people who can raise the most money get their project done first. We have to take a look at the capital plan, our resources and what's ahead of us, how we can match those two together so that we can achieve as much as possible. And we need to, so that we don't sit here in the future. And I don't know enough about the projects that you're putting forward to say this is, I don't mean to say this is an example, but we have to be very thoughtful about when we take on private donations, is it going to lead to future years of maintenance, maintenance, maintenance? So what we've asked is that when organizations are looking to donate, we sit down, we really take a look at it as, okay, let's talk about it with staff as a group. Say, what does the donation look like? Where does it fall in our capital plan? What is the long-term maintenance for this? What's the staff requirement? So we're not saying no more donations. We're saying, let's look at what the impact of this donation is and when we can put it to best use, so that, because the other side of that is when I started, I did hear, first and foremost, I heard how much this town loves their outdoor spaces and their fields, and I respect that very much. Two athletes, too, who love the Danvers fields as well. So I hear that, but I also heard that things weren't getting, like you said, the projects were getting donated to, and the town side wasn't necessarily meeting the expectations. So I'm a firm believer in setting expectations for both sides early on in the process, so that people don't feel disappointed or frustrated on either end. So I apologize if that was miscommunicated as a no donations. Please meet with us if you're interested. But we are trying to take a much more planful approach.
So what I kind of heard is if a league has money that they want to allocate to a specific improvement, and it doesn't fit in somebody at town, whatever the deciding body, the rec committee or whoever's vision of what should be in the capital plan, then you're going to say no.
No, the answer's not no. It's let's talk about how and when it's appropriate to do it.
What I struggle to understand is if the money's there, and if the money is there waiting to be spent, what drives the when?
So there's a couple of pieces of that. So it's not just the money, right? So if 100% of the project
Clearly,
includes,
like seasonally,
yeah.
like there could be you don't want to
Weather,
rip
yeah.
apart something in the middle of a season, or in the middle
Obviously.
of the winter, you can't do something. I
Yeah,
get that.
but there's also the staff capacity and the staff part of that, right? Like we don't plan our workout around everybody else's schedule, right? We have a work plan, so we have to, A, do we have the staff capacity? B, again, what is the maintenance in the long term? C, are they covering the full cost of the project from nuts to bolts, including the staff time? B, is there something else that came up, and again, the capital plan, because that's the point in capital planning, which is one of the reasons I said read more about that, and we're spending a lot of time on that. If we are constantly adjusting to just the demands of who can raise the most money, that's really going to be a problem for our workload, and it makes it inefficient for the work, right? We could end up, I think Bill asked earlier, do you plan out your cycles of things? Do things have life cycles? And so we also have to think about the life cycles of all the fields. So it's not a no, it's a come talk to us and let's figure out how to get there, because we want to get to yes too. This number is the smallest it's ever been. If there are people who want to help us meet some of those needs, we want to get to yes.
Okay, I hope that's good to hear, because I know there are people who are pretty frustrated.
Yeah, please come talk to me, talk to Dave, we want to get to yes.
Okay.
Can I just kind of jump on that one? So Mary Beth talked about we're known for our great fields. We used to be known for our great fields about 10, 15, 20 years ago. We're not so much known for our great fields anymore. And, it's for somebody who goes back to playing on the great fields and then coaching kids on the great fields, it's a little bit disappointing. So we do need to do more. And I hear what you're saying, but it also sounds to me like the request goes into the grinder of government, and it's going to be like spinning and spinning and spinning, and and then after a couple of years, the people that were trying to do it won't be in the league anymore, and then there'll be new people. And not that it's purposely done for you, but we can't have that. It has to be dealt with. When leagues are raising money and they're trying to do things, there's a small window for the interested people in those leagues to get things done. They're not looking to get it done when their kids are in college. So, maybe you, and I'm not saying you shouldn't have a plan, but I am saying that you need to activate and move the plan so that it's dealt with in a really expeditious way, because otherwise it's just not going to work. And, we don't want, the fields already, the facilities already are going downhill, and we don't want them going downhill any further. So, and I get, like Mike said, and like everybody else said, the budget thing this year, I get it, but we kind of got to do better. And we also don't want to, when we don't have the money, we don't want to dissuade the people in the leagues that are willing to do things from doing them. So I just want that to be heard, and I want that to be something that is addressed.
Thank you. And heard not only as your town manager, but as a mom who's raised a lot of money for a lot of sports and done all of the things that you guys are talking about. So I hear you in both capacities.
Wally, do you have anything?
Excuse me, yes. So my town recreation sport field aeration fertilization is normally underground, it's operational. It's over here for this
I
year
didn't
only.
hear you.
Yeah, so,
Did you? Okay.
yes, through you, Mr. Chairman. So, yes, actually, last year, we also did another warrant article for fertilization and aeration because we're trying to subsidize the cost outside of our operational budget for these 2 years to get us back on a good working cycle because of the cost that we've seen come in for our bids for that type of work. So we've actually added it in last year, and we added it in this year to get us caught up. And then hopefully in our FY27 budget, we can get back to our regular budget cycle with just having it within those two line items.
Okay, because, back to what Arthur was just saying, it's like, so when this was always part of our regular budget cycle and planned, we weren't trying to squeeze it like we are now. We had much better content in our fields. So I'd like to see it go back to operational and not worry about, the financing part of it. And I know that's tight this year and it has to stay this year. And but it's still a concern for me as a capital rather than an operational. So, that's good.
Paul, you had something else?
Yeah, it's not related to this immediate article, but I did want to mention a question. I'd like to have an answer, or not an answer, but where we are with the condition of the turf field at the stadium at the high school. I'm not sure if it's been used for 6 years, maybe more. I was on the original committee, but I lost tracking time of it. But I think we have to be thinking of this, Stephen, down the road, because it's not a $100,000 deal. And there's always a big controversy about turf versus natural grass, but everybody knows you get more activity on a turf field to some extent, and then you get other problems too. But with grass, there may be grass that's growing that you can use now. I don't know that you could still have very close to the participation that you have right now, because some of the sports obviously tear the heck out of it, and there's no question about that, but I don't think that's the case with either soccer or field hockey as such. But I may be wrong, I don't know all the sports that well, but I do know one thing. Playing on that stuff and working on that stuff will break your back, aside from other things. And I'm still a proponent of it, but I'd like to see us get away with it, away from it if we can, but I'm not so sure at some point, we're going to have to. We're going to have to play on turf or play on grass, unless you want to play in a parking lot. Okay? Just for future thought. Thank you.
Anything from the audience? Bill Bates.
Bill Bates, Town Meeting Member, Precinct 4. Now that we have the new DPW director and the town manager, I just want to put out a comment about Great Oak and St. Mary's. I had the opportunity to do as a crossing guard, be at Great Oak and St. Mary's one day, and the flooding, I could not cross the children because the parking lot and that street flooded so badly in one storm. And I called some DPW people, and they said, it's been like that for years. We've got to fix it. So, and I know in the back of Great Oak School, too, there's a lot of repairs that the parents that, are trying to be partners in. So Great Oak, St. Mary's, that whole parking lot area, please keep that in your mind for capital. And I'll read the capital thing and then get back to you.
Thanks, Bill. Bill number 2.
Again, bill number 2. The town has a nice program to adopt an island. They maintain it, keep it, make it look pretty. It adds to the color of town. Also gives them an opportunity to put their, say, business sign there. Is that a possibility for some of the work for the fields? Not that we want to have billboards addressing my contribution, or not mine, but in businesses. Is there a way to inquire some businesses in town might be willing to, not just the friends of or what have you, but say business that they could use the work they do, their name applied to it, and maybe generate work for them and help the town look better or more functional?
Yeah, absolutely. And I believe that's something, I don't know the history about building the field, but typically there are donors involved in fields. It goes back to part of my initiatives. I got to get out of the office and start to really connect with particularly some of the bigger businesses in town. It's part of their missions to come and be helpful and be part of the community, and they want to be good neighbors. So we will work on ways to do that.
We hope to. We want them to be good neighbors. Thank you.
Anything else? Is there a motion?
Move the article.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Article passes unanimously. Thank you. Article 20, drainage liability.
Mr. Chairman, it's Article 20. This is typical Mass DOT's language that we're required to accept as part of any work they do within the town right-of-ways or in the town limits for any drainage work, so we have to say yes.
Yes. And who's going to be Dave
We
McKenna
called the
tonight?
Dave McKenna.
Yeah.
Isn't that where I get a chance?
You can be Dave McKenna tonight, yeah. Okay. Any questions from the committee? Anything from the audience? Is there a motion?
Move the article.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Article passes with 1 no. And Dave McKenna, we hope you're watching. Article 21, Endicott Street generator replacement.
Okay, these are warrant articles, appropriation requests for, under our sewer enterprise fund. For this town meeting, we're requesting $920,000. Article 21 is for Endicott Street generator replacement. This is the same, so that we have a vintage, over 30-year-old generator, emergency backup generator that's on-site at the Endicott Street pump station. So just so you're aware of this location, this is the one that's close to the corner of Water Street versus the one that's close to the Independence McDonald's. We have 2 pump stations on Endicott Street. So this is the second largest one that we have in our system. It also brings in flow from 3 other pump stations that we have within our town. So the station generator needs replacement. We've done the design work, we've got a good cost estimate, and proposally, hopefully, when we get the appropriation, we'll be able to get the funding for construction and replacement of the generator. I think I'll do this one at a time, if you have any questions.
We could probably do them all at once,
Yeah, I
and then
think-
we'll take it, the
Them all?
Yeah.
five votes.
Power through.
So number 22, wastewater collection system maintenance and spot repairs. This is related to our typical annual CIPP, which is curtain-in-place pipelining project. That's his non-intrusive, non-trenchless excavation, where we line our sewer mains. This helps us alleviate any of our, what we call I&I, inflow and infiltration into our sewer system. So that's unnecessary groundwater that does not need to be treated at SCSD. This helps us continue our program into our 3rd phase for design, which tackles a lot of the Upper Woodville area. Familiar with that, basically from Wenham Street back down to almost Mass Ave, for $200,000. Number 23, wastewater pump station improvements. This is typically to help alleviate any of our emergency repairs that can occur at our 13 pump stations that we operate and maintain throughout the town. So anytime there's a pump failure or a pump that needs to get replacement, anytime we have to update any of our telecommunications, SCADA controls, our pump control panels, the variable frequency drives, we take that out of this fund. So we typically do this every 3 or 4 years. We request about $200,000 to keep up with maintenance of our pump stations. Article 24, stormwater asset management. So last year, we were awarded a grant through Mass DEP for a stormwater asset management program. We've been working through that over the past year. We look to conclude that program at the end of 2026, which will culminate in a few different iterations of a stormwater capital plan, and stormwater looking forward ahead, like what that means for the town. Within that, we're gonna have to look at special ways or different ways to think about how we can fund the stormwater capital plan. Moving forward, the one that we've been working on lately is back from about 2012. So this is a greatly needed update that takes into account the new MS4 requirements. That's our stormwater discharge requirements with the Environmental Protection Agency. And so this basically just helps us take it to the next level so we can figure out the ways we can fund the program. Lastly, drainage maintenance. This is for any emergency repairs that occur over the fiscal year. Any of our catch basins, stormwater, best management practices, BMPs, any drainage pipe replacements that need to occur before we pave a roadway. We tap into this money first to do those repairs.
Great. Okay. Wally, anything on 21 through 25?
So the stormwater asset management, that 70,000 is for actual building, or this is just for planning and?
It's for further planning, conceptual phasing.
Good. Ted?
I'm good.
Mary?
All set?
Mike? No. Eric? Paul?
Okay.
All set.
Anything from the audience? Bill?
Don't get 15 minutes. Because there's 5 of them.
He's already up to like a half hour tonight.
Borrowing on.
You're beyond your 3 questions.
I know I'm borrowing. I know it was a problem, and I believe it was a problem. Some people's, where they live, the water table is very high, so they have a sump pump,
Yeah.
and that water is discharged in the street drainage. Is that still a problem? Is it still happening? Or do we address it, or do we have to address it?
So within our sewer regulations, we do have a sump pump inspection part that looks at anytime you have a purchase or sale of a house, our engineering division and either our sewer department is required to go into the house and inspect your sump pump if you have one. That's notated. Then we also notate where the sump pump discharges to. So legally, through a permit, you can discharge to our stormwater system or to outside if you have a large surface area, discharge to your overland surface flow. The one thing we don't want to see is any sump pumps directly connected into the sewer system. That is illegal. That's against our bylaws and regulations. So if we do see that, we immediately have you remove that and reroute it out to either a drainage system or or onto your own property.
I guess my question is, do you check on someone who has one to see if it's done legally or not?
At the time of sale of a house, we do go in and
Well,
check.
that's the time of sale. 2 years, 3 years down the road, if someone decides I can get away with it, is there?
You're supposed to get a permit to do it, right? So
I understand, but there's a lot of things
well,
perhaps
then
aren't.
if you don't get the permit, you're doing it illegally.
So how do you catch someone?
So the only way, we do, just to answer that, as part of our small separate storm sewer permit with EPA and Mass DEP, we're required to do dry weather and wet weather screening at all of our outfalls. So any point where we have a connection of our stormwater utilities, we test for surfactants, contaminants, any type of coliform bacterias. And if we do find any levels that are higher than what's allowed, then we're required to go upstream and trace the sources of those. And that's how we start looking at, see if there's anything connected illegally.
So we are being proactive then.
Correct.
Thank you.
Anything else from the audience? Is there a motion on Article 21?
Move Article 21.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Article passes. Is there a motion on Article 22?
Move Article 22.
Is there a
Second.
second? There's a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Article passes. Article 23.
Move Article 23.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Article passes unanimously. Article 24.
Move Article 24.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. And Article 25.
Move Article 25.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes
Hey,
unanimously.
could I ask a question before we get too far from this?
No, you missed your chance.
No, it's,
Go ahead.
how did we make out over on Sylvan Street with the drainage problem to drain the meadows? Have you not been here? I mean, I don't want to put you on the spot if you don't know, but.
I don't know if something happened last week. I was on vacation. I haven't heard of
All right,
anything.
we'll talk later.
Article 26.
Let me move the slides for everyone. Article 26, water treatment plant rehabilitation. This is a kind of an all-encompassing request for $500,000 to meet the needs of our ongoing work at improving our filter systems within our water treatment plant.
I'm gonna make one suggestion to you. There is a name for that facility.
Vernon C. Russell
Vernon
Water
C.
Treatment
Russell
Plant.
and
Junior.
Junior, because the third used to sit next to me at town meeting, and the only time that he would speak is if you didn't name it that. I do not want him coming back from the grave to affect either one of us. So at least once, please refer to it by its appropriate name.
Oh, it's right here.
So for the Vernon C. Russell
Thanks.
water treatment plant, we do have some, again, the plan is, it's been about 15 years now since we did our primary upgrades. Some of the mechanical components need to get replaced. This is pretty much our large rail train infrastructure that carries both our sand filters at both the expansion part and the older facility. This also requires some pumps that need to get, our chlorine pumps, any of the sand filter that need to get repaired, any upgrades to our SCADA system that realign for the processing within the plant, and any other third-party manufacturers that need to do their inspection work of their equipment. So that's what covers the cost for this. Article 27, water booster station improvements for $150,000. This is similar to the pump station, so we have 5 booster stations in town. 2 of them are newer. As you can remember, we did Lakeview Booster Station just last year, and then before that, we installed the new Green Street Booster Station. We still have 2 others. One that we have just taken over at Overlook Booster Station, and then also at the Summer Street Delaware intersection Booster Station as well. With those ones are, again, aging out with some of their infrastructure and components, so we're gonna have to do some emergency repairs there, replace some pumps, some motors in those 2 facilities. So that basically covers any of those costs related to that work. Article 28, well 2 PFAS treatment. This is actually a transfer article from other available revenue into our sewer enterprise account based on award settlements that we got from 3M and DuPont for finding PFAS in our raw water supplies and having to deal with it early on when the emerging contaminants first started coming to light. So we entered in a class action lawsuit. We were awarded the funding, the $621,503. We plan on using that money to further our design for the well 2 green sand filtration plant to make sure we can remove any PFAS contaminants from that to the effective levels we need to.
Great. Arthur, anything on those 3 articles?
No questions.
Paul?
Is it well 2?
Yeah, well
Is it-
2
is it
up
closed?
Buxton Road.
Is that closed now, or are we using that at this point?
We still run that and still operate that, yeah, that's for our kind of our emergency situations, we have that well source. It is, what we have for well water is under the promulgated regulations from Mass DEP and EPA, but we do know in the future EPA is gonna further reduce those allowable levels within the water, so we need to be ready to act on that quickly when that happens.
Thank you.
Eric?
Nothing.
Nope.
Mary Beth?
All set?
Ted?
I'm all set, thank you.
And we're installing filters at the wells.
The wells only have green sand filtration right now, so it's primarily only used to remove manganese and iron. It does not have granular activated carbon like our Vernon C. Russell treatment plant to remove PFAS.
Good catch.
You don't want him visiting you at night, trust me.
And this is probably planning farther ahead, but whatever media we're using for filtration, where are we disposing of that at? And what's the cost of that going to be? Do you have any idea at all?
So we do have to test the material if we do any media replacement, and then our vendor or contractor, whoever we hire, finds appropriate landfill to dispose of it.
There are no locals anymore? Do I understand that correctly?
No local landfills to take the material.
Right.
It depends on how it tests out, really. So if it has too high of a concentration of a certain contaminant, it can go to maybe an online landfill, or if it's too high, it has to go to a line landfill, which are, most of them are not really local to Danvers anymore.
Excuse me, thank you.
Anything from the audience? Micah? You're becoming the new Bill Bradstreet.
We need a replacement.
He could go at any minute.
Oh.
Stop it.
That was bad.
All
Go
right,
ahead, Micah, quickly.
Micah Velasquez, Precinct 7. I just want to say I'm actually really excited about Article 26, especially the section about the ozone facility, because as many of us know, chlorine purification is a relatively archaic method that's somewhat inefficient. So I'm just voicing my excitement for the possibility of an ozone purification.
Thank you.
All right.
Anything else? Hearing nothing else, is there a motion on Article 26?
Move Article 26.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on Article 26. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Article passes unanimously. Article 27?
Move Article 27.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Article 28.
Article 28.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I think,
thank
does
you,
that
Steve.
wrap you up, Steve?
Rest me up, yep.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great job. On to Article 29, Emergency Management. We're asking for $50,000 from free cash to support emergency management operations. This initiative that the chief and I have been, and the deputy chief and I have been working on. We're updating our emergency management plans with MEMA, and we need to, primarily right now, we need to have funds there to be able to respond in case of, primarily, we're seeing increases in severe weather events. But overall, we're updating the plan, and we know that that's going to take some resources behind it, not just for the planning piece, but for the actual equipment and technology and things like that that we'll need. And Chief's here.
And we have two chiefs here, so.
We have two chiefs here.
Yes, I think you're talking about Chief Barry?
Oh, Chief Barry. I was like, no, you can have either one of them. No, Chief Barry's the Emergency Services Director. You get them both.
Do you know his first name?
Brian. It's a quiz.
Wally, do you have anything?
I don't.
Okay. Ted?
Is this a somewhat one-time investment?
I would say that this is an initial investment, but in the updating of the planning exercise, so first you update the MEMA, the base plan, and then there's kind of annex plans to base it, depending on what you're responding to. So we'll know more as we go. But I'm not expecting a huge investment, but this was a step for us to say, we know we're going to need something. Let's get something out there while we.
So like over time, would it eventually become part of the budget? A budget for the.
I mean, most
public
communities
safety?
have like EOPS, like operations budgets, but we'll have to see over time how our budget is doing. But Chief has more experience with it if you want to hear from him.
So historically, there is not currently a budget for emergency management, and we are mandated by the state to maintain, as the manager said, comprehensive emergency management plan, which we're in the process of updating, that has a mitigation plan. With that comes shelter operations, emergency operations centers, training for staff, maintaining an active local emergency planning committee. So as the manager stated, we don't have a budget, but, just shelter operations, we have to have equipment, cots, beds. The Emergency Operations Center has to have some computers, some technology, communications, things like that. So I think $50,000 is a good starting point. We'll see where it gets us, and as time goes on, we'll find out if we have to supplement that budget or make it a permanently annual dollar amount. But I think 50,000 is better than the zero budget we have today.
Barry?
Thank you.
All set.
Do we actually sort of get, when we had the issue with the power outage, which I think was one of the few times that we've had to do some level of that, is that, were we able to do that, coordinate it without any problems? Or was it a little bit difficult because of the lack of sort of the EMS budget and
No, so I mean, we have a plan in place, and we utilize the Red Cross, which comes free of charge, or directly, I guess, free of charge. There's no direct cost. And we use staff that was on duty. There was probably some overtime involved, which I don't know that this funding would be used necessarily for that. But moving forward, we did identify some training, some areas of training that we should work on improving. We could bring consultants in. Actually, the high school was identified as a potential excellent shelter, and maybe even a regional shelter. So we have to put a lot of work into that. But just to answer your question, that one event, you're talking about the one like last summer during the heat wave when we lost power down in Burroughs.
we did move some people, I think, offered shelter.
We stood up a cooling shelter at the high school. Yeah, so that went well. But there's certainly always room for improvement. And a much larger scale incident would be more challenging than that. That was a kind of a good test run, I think.
If I may, exactly as he said, so that's actually considered a minor event. If you look at the hazard mitigation plan and you actually consider if there was flooding or people, so that was if you are out of power and you want to use the shelter, go to the shelter, not we've got to get people out of here situation. So that's kind of the difference. The Red Cross comes in those situations to the extent that they're available also, and luckily our chief has a really good relationship with them. But in order to really engage with them in a real, emergency, larger scale emergency situation, it's a matter of the regional partnerships, the local response committee, and building our relationship with the Red Cross. So all of that is what we're working towards.
And you also have to think, we can handle a small scale, but if there was like a regional weather incident, the Red Cross is going to be awfully busy, and all the other resources that we could go to are going to be very busy, and we're going to not have a lot of opportunity for that support, so we have to kind of be able to handle it ourselves, and that's kind of what this funding is going to support.
Yeah, it's a great expense.
Thank you.
Eric?
So, follow up on Mike's point. I think I understand what we're saying. We're not necessarily where we want to be. How would you, and it's a small amount of money to start that process, how would you assess where we are versus where we want to be, maybe in percentages, right? So we are 5% in and we have a ways to go, or are we 50% in and we have a ways to go? If it doesn't put you too much on the spot. But it strikes me as an area to pay more attention to, given what's going on, weather events and other. It's not necessarily an area to be skimping if we're not where we want to be.
Yeah, so from my perspective, being new, that's the reason I brought this forward in this first budget. The chief, I think the team is doing a great job, but it hasn't, I'll let him answer percentages piece, but I think
Or
we
you could
should
dodge
be.
it. I just want to,
I think we should be much further along, and again, some of that is from my experience, and I know the folks at Pathways, your organization that you work with, they're involved in the regional response plan on the North Shore. So knowing my past with both Pathways and with local government, I think we have some important work to do, and we've got the right players in place, and this will be an important investment.
At the end of the vote, the point that I want to make sure I think I hear is when we think about our priorities, right? Our emergency preparedness is not one to take lightly. If we are hearing that we're not where we want to be, with or without a percentage, like we hear that clearly, and it's a place for us to invest as we balance priorities. I'll put it that way. Right. So that's what I heard.
We agree.
Okay.
Paul?
Basically, we want to be ahead of the curve.
Don't want to be behind it.
That's it.
I'm all set.
Great. Anything from the audience? Okay. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Yes, second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of Article 29, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you. Article 32.
All right, I'm going to hand this over to Chief Jamie Lovell. He really spearheaded this initiative through his quarterly reports to the Select Board. So I will hand it over to him.
So the goal of this is to create a bylaw that prohibits a cryptocurrency ATM in the community. Currently, we have 2 remaining in Danvers right now, one located at 431 Newbury Street, the mobile gas station, then one downtown at 79 Maple Street Country Farms. So since 2022, reported to us has been over $249,000 worth of losses to these machines. And typically they
Just to those 2 machines?
in town, we had 3 before, we lost 1, so now we have 2 remaining ones. So since 2022, there's probably 3 machines, now down to 2. Typically, it is the vulnerable population is targeted at these scams, elderly, people who be taken advantage of easily. And again, these numbers are probably low because I'm sure many people are either embarrassed to come forward and report that they've been a victim, being concerned of either the embarrassment or like losing control of their finances. So we're concerned that number might be low. This would allow us to prohibit those kiosks in the community. Currently, Westford, Waltham, Gloucester, Peabody have enacted similar bylaws, and Salem, Beverly, and Marblehead are also looking to enact similar bylaws.
Okay. Arthur?
I didn't even know these existed, so are they, people go in and buy Bitcoin or whatever at a kiosk? Is that what they are?
Typically, it's like an ATM, standalone ATM, and we've had people feed $40,000 into these machines, and once it gets into that crypto blockchain world, it just disappears.
So they don't even get their Bitcoin?
No.
Basically.
It's in a virtual wallet that is oftentimes controlled by the person who is exploiting them or pressuring them to do this, and they never receive the money back. I believe out of the $249,000, we have recovered about $72,000 in currency back. That has been decreasing over the past probably 6 to 8 months because the courts aren't really siding with as much as they were before.
I'm surprised you recover any of it, but yeah, no, this sounds like a great idea to me. Thanks.
Paul?
These must be nationwide.
Correct, yep. And again, there are plenty of legitimate ways to invest in these cryptocurrencies. These machines just don't really meet those.
And they're located in businesses within any particular town?
Typically gas stations, tobacco shops, and variety stores.
Variety stores, yeah, okay.
Eric?
And so there, I imagine then there's no real regulation that prevents them, and that's what we're here for.
Correct. Over the past couple of years, we've put signs on the machines warning people like, is this a scam? Are you being asked these questions? Trying to do so, haven't been successful. We've actually seized machines where we've actually wrapped them in trash bags and crime scene tape, and people have gone in and cut it off to put more money into the machines. So the steps that we've taken to try to reduce it hasn't really worked, so this would be a good way to reduce those victimizations.
Yeah, they gotta go.
Mike?
Are there any legitimate uses for these machines?
I personally don't see it. I think that if I was to invest in cryptocurrency, I would use a reputable, Fidelity, Schwab, Putnam Investments, or an at-home app versus, majority that we see, a lot of elderly people who are being exploited and going to the machines and putting their life savings into these machines and just disappears.
Has there been any movement on the state level to restrict them through
There has been some
legislation?
discussions. I don't think we wanted to wait that long, so as soon as we started seeing the trend going up in town, we wanted to address it as quick as possible.
Thanks.
Mary?
who owns the machines? The business, or they're renting the space to someone else that puts them in there?
It's the cryptocurrency companies that own the machines, and they're renting space from these stores and gas stations.
No other questions. Thank you.
How many incidents roughly would you say are comprised that $249,000?
Let's see. Actually, about 16.
And have the two remaining, I guess, landlords of the machines, are they aware of this, and have they said anything?
I believe our detectives have gone to and spoken to the owners. They've been trying to educate them, like, if you do see someone who's sitting with a bag full of cash, just constantly feeding money into it, call us, talk to the person, preferably call us so we can at least respond. And we've had some success responding, but sometimes we get in arguments over people like, no, I need to do this. The federal government's gonna take my house. And we're like, no, it's okay. We'll work with you. And they're adamant to put the money in the machine. So it's a balancing act. And again, with other communities banning them, we don't want to see more people come into Danvers to utilize the machines.
Okay.
Wally?
Nothing. Thank you, Chief.
In the enforcement section, who receives the enforcement action, given the nature of ownership and leasing?
So what we would do is, if the bylaw is passed, I believe they have 30-day notice that would give them to have the machines removed.
The business owner?
Yes, yep.
Okay.
One more. This has all been run by legal, I hope?
Yes. Kate's last name.
Conley.
Yep, Attorney Conley had worked with me on this language on this as far as using what we wanted to put forward and using other communities that she's worked with to enact this bylaw.
Good.
I guess my only question is, the business owners, is the reason that they are keeping these facilities there is because they have a lease situation or some type of a contractual situation that requires them to keep them there? And if we pass this and they have that contractual situation, they want to remove them anyways, but their attitude is, I signed this agreement. Is there a mechanism to try to deal with that particular issue for them?
I'm not aware if there's any leases involved with these. We can definitely look into that, especially prior to enforcement. Of course, we would work with the business owner before we took action.
Great.
Anything from the audience? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Article passes unanimously. Thank you. Thank you, Chief. Great work.
Horrible.
And Article 33, he'll stick around for questions. So Article 33 stemmed from the Select Board, particularly they give licenses to, for the sale of junk and secondhand articles, otherwise known as pawn shops. There was somebody before us, we issued the license, and member Dan Bennett had expressed some concern about people, young adults between over the age of 18, but still young adults, selling items for purposes if they have addictions or things like that. So we wanted some more safeguards related to children or young adults, I should say, in the sale for pawn shops. So one of the things that we also were able to do in this, and the chief can speak to, is we also, since we were updating that, we also updated the mechanism by which they track. That it still was, our bylaw was still referring to a book, and now they use, obviously, computerized systems. Obviously, the chief has a lot more background with this than I do, so if there's questions.
Wally?
No, I'm good at this one.
Ted?
For the sale, so the sale of junk and secondhand articles, you said pawn shops, but like what about a Goodwill shop?
So the three that we are licensed right now, Best Buy, because they purchase computers and cell phones, JD Jewelers in the Square, which they don't report a lot of activity, but they do buy and sell jewelry. And then Eco ATMs are probably the largest one, which are at Walmart. So it's a standalone ATM where you can bring a cell phone or a tablet to They actually have a live person on the other end that will actually verify your ID. You give them a thumbprint, and then they'll give you a voucher or cash for the item. So we only have 3 that are covered by this bylaw, three locations.
And so like a baseball card shop or a collectible shop would not be covered by this?
I don't believe so, no. In the past, they have not been.
Is it legal for us to put the, like, I totally understand the motive of the 18 to 21, but is it actually like legal to place that distinction?
Yeah, so we worked with town council on that because, we had the same response at 18, you're an adult. So we worked with town council on this, and yes, we have the ability, because it's about tracking who was made at the time of, who was there at the time of sale, and it's about tracking where it goes back in case it becomes part of a investigation, so we're covered.
So when the bylaws were created back in 2008, at that time, 17 years old was an adult. So it wasn't until 2013 when they changed the age of adult to 18. So it was lacking since then anyway, so we increased it to 18 for an adult. And we had that discussion about that 18 to 21-year-old. So at least by adding a 21-year-old with them, doesn't have to be a parent or guardian, it's someone who's 21, it's just an added layer of accountability of, who's selling this stuff to stores.
So they can bring their 21-year-old friend in with them?
They can, but will it be actually documented who that person was, and we can trace it back.
Okay.
Okay.
No further questions. Thank you.
Mary?
No question.
Mike?
Yeah, we've been doing this for too many nights, and I don't feel like arguing with the town council anymore, honestly. I have no idea what the section in red actually says, that in terms of it, because I'm reading that almost as saying that the person who does this transaction has to be 21 years old, not that there needs to bring a 21-year-old friend, but just gotta go.
Eric?
Nope, nothing.
Paul?
Right now, nothing. I'm just sort of baffled at the scams that just go on constantly and constantly and constantly. And if you can slow it down, stop it, I guess I have to be for it. If it's illegal, and you can't do it, then it's gonna be thrown back at us, and we can't. That's it. I guess that's the answer I'm looking for. I'm not looking for an answer, but I see maybe the roadblock down the way, the road. Okay, I'm all set.
Arthur?
All set.
Anything from the audience? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Article 33 passes.
All right, thank you, Chief. And
Article 45.
the final one for tonight, Article 45, it's a traditional. But we do need to, correct the language.
Oh, yes.
Right,
There-
aren't we
There is a Scribner's error. Thank you for
Scribner's error.
reminding me. That should be, historically, the Article 2 has always been the budget. However, because of the 250th resolution, it should read Article 3 of the 2026 annual town meeting. So that Scribner's error will be corrected in the forthcoming warrant with the recommendation of the Finance Committee. That being said, is there any discussion on Article 45? Hearing none, anything from the audience? Mr. Bates?
Mr. Chairman, if you would allow me a point of personal privilege.
Well, you can speak, but there's no points because you're not a member of the committee.
Okay, but if I could
We
speak.
did this
thank you.
last year.
I would just like to apologize for raising my voice last night when we were discussing the electronic voting, Article 34. I understand some of my fellow town meeting members were intimidated by my loud voice and the way I was making my points. I've always been somebody that believes in reasonable discussion, healthy disagreement, and being respectful and professional. And when I looked at the 5 or 6 town meeting members that were there last night, I was talking to all 149 of us that we had a job to do, and we need to do better at our job. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bates. Appreciate it. With that, is there a motion on Article 45?
Move the article.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Oh,
Should we only do no action on this one? Through you, Mr. Chair, I believe the recommendation would be no action, but I'm not.
That's correct.
I think you're correct, yep. Thank you.
Move no action on
We have a
that.
motion of no action? I think that's what Paul meant to say.
Yes.
And he seconded it. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Paul?
Passes with no
Paul
action.
had a Scribner's error.
So just as a reminder to everyone, we will, in all likelihood, plan Finance Committee members for a Finance Committee meeting at 7 PM on Monday, May 18th, in anticipation of the immediately following 7:30 annual town meeting, and look forward to seeing you all there.
And I just would like to say thank you. This is my first round of budget and finance, budget and warrant reviews with the Finance Committee. I appreciate the dialogue, and I look forward to seeing everyone at town meeting. And thank you to the team. The team's been
And
incredible.
thank you
And the select board.
to our Select Board representative for your wonderful representation tonight.
Yeah.
All my years of wisdom.
Thank you, everyone, and good night. Nope, no meeting, we're done.
meeting tomorrow.
Nothing tomorrow.
Thank you.